Next we can see the pathophysiology of asthma. So as we already discussed that there is two types of asthma, the pathophysiological changes or how the disease condition happens in an extrinsic asthma is different to intrinsic asthma. So first we can see how extrinsic asthma is occurring in a person. So here initially, the person will have a genetic potential to produce immunoglobulin E. So, there is a potential. Some people are having maybe allergic family history. The person will have a family history. That is the genetic potential. Okay. So, when that particular person with a genetic potential to produce immunoglobulin E and asthma, when that person is exposed with the triggers which we have discussed previously, like specific allergens are the triggers for extrinsic asthma, like dust or pollens. What happens is the plasma cell will start production of immunoglobulin E antibody, IgE antibody. And what this IgE antibody will do is it will go and attach with the mast cell in the cell surface of the mast cell, and the mast cell will be producing chemical mediators. Okay, so there are three chemical mediators which is produced by this mechanism by mast cell when it is attached with IgE antibody on its surface. So these three chemical mediators are histamine, the second one is slow reactive substance of anaphylaxis, and the third one is eosinophilic factor of anaphylaxis. So for the first one is histamine, second is slow reactive substance of anaphylaxis, and the third one is eosinophilic factor of anaphylaxis. So we can you will be knowing the functions of these three. So the histamine, it will cause smooth muscle contraction, increased vascular permeability and edema formation, increased mucus secretion and muscle contraction. So these things will occur in the airways and it will cause the constriction of the airway as a result of histamine. The second one is slow reactive substance of anaphylaxis. So what it does is it will cause the prolonged smooth muscle contraction. That means already histamine has acted on the bronchial airway to contract. So this will be prolonged with the help of slow reactive substance of anaphylaxis. And the third one is eosinophilic chemotactic factor of anaphylaxis. So that is, it will attract the eosinophils and phagocytic action will be initiated, leads to inflammation, and it will cause bronchospasm, edema of the bronchial mucosa, increased secretion of mucus and inflammation. So these are the mechanism by which the chemical mediators will cause the prolonged contraction of the airway and which leads to bronchospasm and the manifestations of bronchial asthma. Hope it is clear. The extrinsic asthma, the person will have a genetic potential. It can be collected through the history collection of the patient, like family history of asthma or allergy. In that particular person, when the person is exposed with any trigger, what will happen is the plasma cell will start production of IgE antibody. This IgE antibody will be going and attaching with the mast cell surface, which leads to the production of chemical mediators by the mast cell, and mainly three chemical mediators are produced: histamine, slow reactive substance of anaphylaxis, eosinophilic factor of anaphylaxis. So this is about the extrinsic asthma. The next is intrinsic asthma. Here what happens is, already in the intrinsic asthma we have seen that the asthma occurs due to non-specific factors which is present in the environment. So it can be a cigarette smoke, strong odor, fume, exercise or drugs. So what happens in intrinsic asthma is The cytoplasm of master cell. Already in the previous slide itself we have seen the master cell. In the master cell there are two cyclic nucleotides. On the left side column you can see CAMP and GAMP. So CAMP, it is a cyclic adenosine monophosphate, and GAMP is cyclic guanosine monophosphate. So CAMP is controlled by the sympathetic factors and the GAMP is controlled by the parasympathetic factors. GAMP is controlled by parasympathetic factors. Okay. So parasympathetic factors, and the sympathetic factors will suppress the release of chemical mediators, and the parasympathetic factors will cause the release of chemical mediators by the master cell. So the master cell will be producing the same chemical mediators like histamine, slow reactive substance of anaphylaxis, eosinophilic factor of anaphylaxis. So when CAMP level is high, it will cause the bronchodilation, and when the GAMP levels are high, it will cause the bronchoconstriction. So there should be a balance between CAMP and GAMP. When there is parasympathetic activity is more, it leads to increased release of chemical mediators and cause the bronchoconstriction. So in intrinsic asthma, when a parasympathetic activity is more, it leads to GAMP level high in the master cell, and it leads to the bronchoconstriction because of the chemical mediators release. So this is about the intrinsic asthma. Hope you understood extrinsic asthma and intrinsic asthma. Next we can see the clinical manifestations like bouts of spasmodic cough. So here the main problem is the bronchial obstruction, and that is the reason of all manifestations which is resulting from asthma, and the reason is intrinsic factors and the extrinsic factors. So bouts of spasmodic cough at night, especially at night the child will be having difficult cough, will be the non-productive cough at early phase, later leads to productive nature, and use of accessory muscles, sweating, cyanosis, apprehensiveness and restlessness, cardiac arrhythmias, barrel-shaped chest. So these are some of the manifestations. And the history is very important to rule out the allergy history in the family and bronchial asthma history in the family, because already in the extrinsic asthma there is a genetic predisposition. Physical examination, pulmonary function test can be done, eosinophil count can be verified, then chest x-ray will be helping in the diagnosis, and allergic test can be done especially for extrinsic asthma, and allergic test is not having any significance in type of intrinsic asthma. Management is with allergens and avoidance of allergens and exposure to non-specific irritants. So we can to some extent we can try to avoid the exacerbations and the incidence of asthma by trying to avoid dust in the family, in the home, like bedroom of the child should be kept clean, free from dust and possible. Wet mopping should be entertained in family with bronchial asthma, and heavy tapestry like heavy curtains can be avoided, carpets can be avoided. Bed of the child should be kept aired regularly under the sun, and we have to avoid exposure to strong pungent odors, paints, disinfectants, smoke, etc. So these are some of the measures to avoid the allergens and exposure to non-specific irritants. Regarding the drug therapy, the first category of medicine is methyl xanthines, examples theophylline and its derivatives. So these are trying to prevent the degradation of CAMP. Methyl xanthines are action as degradation of CAMP is prevented. And the second one is sympathomimetics. So sympathetic mimetics are given. So that will be trying to increase the CAMP level. Epinephrine, isoproterenol, these are given. Like next is the cromolyn sodium. Cromolyn sodium is to block the chemical mediator release. That is the cromolyn sodium's action. Corticosteroids are also given if there is inflammation to try to relieve the edema and other manifestations of inflammation. And miscellaneous medicines, usually sedatives are not given routinely, but anxiolytics and can be given, and antihistamines are also not given. So this is about the miscellaneous medications. So this is about the medicine. Nursing management, ineffective airway clearance related to allergenic response and inflammation and the bronchial tree. Activity intolerance related to imbalance between oxygen supply and demand. Risk for suffocation related to bronchospasm, mucus secretions and edema. Risk for fluid volume deficit related to difficulty in taking fluid. So this is about the nursing management of asthma. So hope you understood, and very importantly you have to understand the pathophysiology, then it will be very easy for you to understand this two type of asthma, extrinsic asthma and intrinsic asthma. So if you have any clarifications, you can message me. Thank you very much for your kind listening.